Aktiedagen i Stockholm. Nu ska vi träffa ett medtechbolag och mer specifikt ett bolag som jobbar med digitala terapier för att hjälpa demenssjuka. Och det brukar även sägas att demens är en anhörigsjukdom, så att vi får väl säga även hjälpa de anhöriga. Jag säger varmt välkommen till vd Kim Baden-Kristensen, som han heter i Danmark, som är vd för Brainplus. Välkommen Kim.
Tack ska du ha. Ja, jag kommer göra presentationen på engelska och så ta frågadelen på svensk-dansk. So unfortunately today most of us know somebody in our family or among our friends who has a dementia diagnosis. So it's a massive unmet clinical need. Today there are 50 million people who have a dementia diagnosis on a global scale, and that number is going to triple to 150 million people in 20 years. In the UK, it's already the leading cause of death for women. This is a disease that most women get, actually. More women than men get dementia. And in the US, 1 out of 3 people die with a dementia diagnosis. One of the big problems is that traditional medicines and treatments have not really been able to find a solution for this. And it's been over 10 years since any major new approvals came out for drugs that was available to everybody. So there's a need for a different type of solution, and this is where digital therapeutics comes into the picture. Just quickly on what digital therapeutics means. This is a software that treats, manages, or prevents a disease. And it goes through the same rigorous clinical validation that you would with a traditional medicine or medical device. So that means clinical studies, it means certifications as medical devices in Europe and in the United States, software as medical device it's called. And it means that you publish results in peer-reviewed journals regarding the efficacy of your products. And that's the type of products that we make at Brainplus. Some additional advantages of digital medicine is that you collect a lot of data, which means that we can use that data to personalize the treatments. So that will make them more effective. They will make them more adaptive. Digital also means that we can bring treatments more easily into people's homes where it's convenient, it's safe. They're delivered on a tablet PC, for example, on a home PC, on a smartphone. So it's easy to do remote care as well. We can reach people who are not able to come into a clinic to receive a treatment, for example. Overall, it's a way to really deliver more care at lower cost to more people using digital therapeutics. At Brainplus, our mission is to make effective dementia treatments available to everyone as digital therapeutics. And our clinical target is to counteract cognitive decline, which means that we are fighting the loss of the ability for people to remember things, the loss of the ability to focus and pay attention. These are the primary symptoms of dementia. And those can be counteracted, so we can both raise them and we can maintain them for longer. Just before we jump into the actual products and therapies, a little bit about the company. Brainplus is a Danish company. We are located in Copenhagen. We're listed on Nasdaq First North in Copenhagen, the stock market there. We're 20 people. We have a very strong management team, including from some of the largest Danish medtech companies and pharmaceutical companies. Mentioning very briefly our Chief Science and Innovation Officer, Simon Nielsen. He used to lead the innovation and early clinical development at Coloplast, where he had a team of scientists there. He's a PhD in psychophysics, postdoc in cognitive neuroscience, and specialized in cognition, which is our main field. I can mention Paula, our Chief Technology Officer. She used to be at Lundbeck Pharma, where she single-handedly built up the digital health department there. Our CFO, Bertil, he's been at some of the biggest Danish companies and also the big investment banks like JP Morgan and the big Danish medtech company and world leader in hearing aids, GN Hearing, which is has a big overlap with our target audience. And finally, Brian Istergaard, our business development manager, who is himself an entrepreneur. He used to create a software management tool for autism and sold that to the Danish municipalities, which became the leading solution, in which he then sold to a larger company. And he's helping us bring this out to the world into our local markets. So a very strong management team. The board of directors also includes senior partner Lars Ternay. He's a senior partner at Nordic Capital, one of the big private equity firms here in the Nordics, one of the most successful ones. Henriette Hillman, who is CFO at Nanovi and was head of investor relations at Neurosearch and Zealand Pharma, some of the larger life science successes here in the Nordics. And we just announced the addition of 3 new board members, and one of them is our new chairman, Anders Hafstrand. He's a Swede, educated at Karolinska, has had many leading positions in the large pharmaceutical companies and large biotech, executive at Pfizer for some of their commercial operations, and now many years in boards in life science companies. Johan Ludman is perhaps mostly important for what we're doing. He is head of R&D at Lundbeck Pharma, which is the Danish pharmaceutical company specialized in neurodegenerative disease. He's one of the, I would say, most knowledgeable people in the world on Alzheimer's disease and dementia, both from a drug development perspective, but also working with digital, including digital biomarkers. And then finally we have Betul, who is the chief digital and strategy officer at Sur Rose, which is Europe's largest online pharmacy. She was also the chief digital officer at Novartis Pharma and at Ferring before joining us. So a really strong team, a really strong board, but also want to mention that the way that we develop these solutions is in partnerships. So we are working with world-leading academics and clinicians from some of the major universities around the world, especially here in Europe, where we work with Oxford University, Nottingham University, in Denmark, where we work with Copenhagen and Aarhus University, in Sweden, where we work with Gothenburg University. And we're also working with the big patient organizations. So we're working with Alzheimer's Europe. They're in our projects. Alzheimer's Disease International, which is a big global patient organization. They're also parts of our projects. And last year, we partnered with Roche Pharma, with their daughter company called Rox Health, to bring our first product to the German market. So we're also collaborating with the big pharmaceutical companies. Finally, a few more slides on the potential in digital therapeutics before jumping into the products. Digital therapeutics are now becoming a bit like medicine in the sense that you can have a go-to-market strategy that is similar to that of medicine, which means that you can get reimbursement for your treatments. So some of the examples of this, some of the big markets that we're looking at is Germany, where there are 2 reimbursement pathways for digital therapeutics. There you can get reimbursement for all of Germany, basically for all 73 million citizens, and you can get paid around 400 euros per treatment. A treatment in this case is an intervention that lasts anywhere from 8 to 12 weeks. That's what a treatment is. In the United States, the average price reimbursement per treatment is $1,000 and it can go all the way up to several $1,000 for a treatment. So we're basically in a situation where digital therapeutics are being recognized the same as medicine and are being paid for by healthcare payers the same as medicine. If we look at the total market potential for digital dementia treatments, we estimate that to be around $5 billion today, and that will grow to around $15 to $20 billion in the next 10 to 15 years. If we compare that to the most mature digital health market today, that is within diabetes care. That market is already more than $6 billion. And that is projected to grow to $30 billion within the next 5 to 6 years. If we then look at the total cost of diabetes, they're around $800 billion on a global scale. And the cost of dementia is already larger than that. It's already $1,000 billion today, which tells you something about the great unmet clinical need that is there, because there are really very few and next to none digital therapies for dementia. And that is why we're here to help solve that situation. Now coming to the therapies. The first one that I'm going to talk about is called cognitive stimulation therapy. We have 2 therapies and 1 memory test, but this is the most important one because it is in the short term, because this is what we're bringing to the market first. Cognitive stimulation therapy is something that was invented at the University College of London by a professor called Amy Spector. It is a form of, it's called a psychosocial intervention, and it is a form, to simplify it a bit, it's a form of talk therapy. So the way it's being delivered today is that people are sitting in a group, they're having a trained therapist present, and then that therapist is guiding them through a number of topics and conversations and questions, which is stimulating their brain very dynamically and also engaging them socially. And so this enables them to use their memory of the past. They have to think about the future. This is called orientation within psychology. And they're also doing it in a way where it's building their self-esteem. So there's both the cognitive stimulation, but there's also a psychological effect of this treatment. So that's basically what the way the treatment is being delivered today. This moves people 2 points on a so-called mini-mental state examination, which is the most widely used on a global scale cognition test or questionnaire within dementia. And if you think about what 2 points means, then dementia is subcategorized into 3 levels of severity: early, light, medium, and severe dementia. And one of these scales is 4 points. So basically, if you have mild dementia, that's 4 points. This intervention can move you 2 points on that scale. So this is very significant, and this is also why this therapy form, in its analog form, where people come into the clinic and get this treatment, is the recommended standard of care for dementia in the UK and also in Denmark. What we are doing is we are digitalizing this, and we're doing that with the first product to support the delivery in the group settings. So this is the one that we're launching in Denmark. The second product, however, will enable people to deliver this treatment at home. So this is what we call the cognitive stimulation therapy home extension. And this means that any of you here, if you had a family member with dementia, could sit down with that person and you would be guided through the delivery of this therapy. And so you could have the same benefits for your family member as you do if they were sent to the clinic to do the therapy there. That is what this product is aiming for. And of course, this is something that we are revalidating, but there's a big demand for this. So these are the first 2 products we're going to put on the market. The second product will be an extension of the people who have been in the group therapy, who can then continue at home. There will be a third product version of that where you can get it prescribed directly after diagnosis. This therapeutic method has very, very strong evidence. There's over 100 randomized controlled clinical trials that support the efficacy of this treatment methodology. There's a Cochrane review out there. That is one of the reasons it's a recommended standard of care in the UK and Germany. We are the first ones to digitalize this. We're doing this in collaboration with the global key opinion leaders and experts in this. And therefore, there's a great opportunity to be first on the world with this. And this method is being now used in 35 countries, but none of them are doing it with the digital support that we're going to deliver. With the digital support, we will also be able to deliver this therapy virtually. So people in groups can actually, from anywhere in the world, or if they cannot come into the clinic, they can actually get this therapy virtually. So that's also one of the future potentials of this product. Just briefly mentioning a couple of other therapies and technologies that we have in the pipeline. We have something called computerized cognitive training. This is more like a training exercise for the mind. This is specifically developed for dementia, where it uses some of the neural networks that are still intact in dementia, while others are taking specific damage. So this is something that will be relevant for a specific segment that I'll show you in just a second. Then we have a memory test called Starry Night. This was originally developed at Oxford University, and this can do early preclinical detection of Alzheimer's disease. We then partnered with Oxford University to further develop this test, and to revalidate that. And let me show you how these fit together. So if we're looking at a progression of the dementia disease, we have the 3 stages that I was telling you about. So the first therapy, the cognitive stimulation therapy, that is in the mild to moderate range. That's what this therapy is used for today. The computerized cognitive training, that is for the stage before dementia called mild cognitive impairment. And so this is a very, very big segment. 150 million people approximately have that on a global scale. And it's good if we can get treatments that can hit earlier, because then we can potentially even delay the progression into the dementia stage. Then finally, the memory test Starry Night, we will initially use for monitoring purposes, so that will be combined with the therapies. Eventually, as we get more data, it can be used as a so-called digital biomarker for dementia as well, to do screening and early preclinical detection, possibly in combination with other biomarkers. We've already completed, or rather our university academic partners have completed 4 clinical trials with these different technologies successfully within the feasibility and the proof of concept stage. Then we have another 6 studies going on. These are all paid for by grants, so we have raised around 8 million euros worth of grant funding to date and continue to work with grants. We have a number of ongoing grant projects with our university partners, especially here in Sweden, actually, with Sahlgrenska University, Science Park, Gothenburg University, and HealthCap as well. And so we are getting more data out from readouts from these clinical trials. The next big trial we'll be doing will be with the first technology, cognitive stimulation therapy, in a large study to get regulatory data and reimbursement data to get regulated as a medical device, get that certification, and to get reimbursed in Germany. We're not going to go into the details of the science so much today. There's not really time for that. But this gives you an idea about how we plan to roll this out to the market. So the first product, the Cognitive Stimulation Therapy Therapist Companion, which is supporting therapists in group settings, will be launched in Denmark this year, in Germany next year. And some of the next markets that we're thinking about are markets like the UK, the US, some of the big markets naturally, and other European countries. And that will initially be sold directly to the municipalities who are taking care of the people with dementia. So this is something we've done before in Denmark. About 1/3, 30 out of 100 municipalities are already using this methodology. So that's the first product that's going to be sold. The second product, the home extension for use at home, will be launched shortly thereafter and then be again sold via the same business model. However, as we get more clinical data, we can move these products into the medical device class with medical claims and with reimbursement. And then they become what is called prescription digital therapeutics, which means that it's something that eventually even a general practitioner would be able to prescribe. And this is what we're already seeing happening in countries like Germany and the United States. This is a bit of a roadmap. If you look at the top part of this slide, this is the cognitive stimulation therapy, which we're now launching in first Denmark, then Germany, and so forth, and then getting the clinical data from our next studies to put it into the prescription digital therapeutic, at which point it becomes like real digital medicine, reimbursed and prescribed. The 2 other lines represent the 2 other technologies that are currently undergoing clinical development in grant projects. And as we mature those, they will be combined. So we will combine all our 3 technologies into one product for the segment that I showed you earlier called mild cognitive impairment. So in that case, we'll have one major product line with products for dementia, and we'll have a product line with products for the earlier segment, which is mild cognitive impairment. There's a lot of things happening in this industry. There's been a number of licensing deals, just like you see it in life science and biotech. One of the largest one was for $500 million US, which was a partnership between Boehringer Ingelheim, the big pharma company, and the American company called Click, to bring a schizophrenia treatment, a digital schizophrenia treatment, to the market. rounding off, just what I've been telling you about today, why would it be interesting to invest in a company such as Brainplus? Well, dementia is a massive unmet clinical need. Today, there really aren't any good treatment alternatives. We are a first mover with a evidence-based, effective digital treatment for dementia that we're going to launch already this year in its first form. We're partnered with global KOLs, like world-leading experts within this area, within neuroscience, from leading universities. We have the patient organizations with us. This digital therapeutics is becoming a future part of healthcare. Even all the big pharma companies are in dialogues with us, because the ones that are in dementia, because pharma knows that traditional medicine, yes, that will continue to be an important part of healthcare, but the digital part is coming, especially in disease areas like central nervous system, where it's been so hard to find effective medicines. Very experienced team and board, as you can see, and partners, and basically ready to start launching into different markets with the first product. In the meantime, we do additional clinical validation and development and get the data readouts to move us into the medical device class. So thank you for your attention so far, and we can switch to svensk dans.
Ja, svenska. Ja, går det bra att bara byta sådär?
Ja.
Kim, man kan förstå det finns ett stort, för att inte säga ett skriande behov av att hjälpa folk och anhöriga, som sagt, med demens, Alzheimer. Men vad, om man uttrycker sig krasst, varför ska man göra det? Vad har man att vinna på att hjälpa dem?
Altså, en ting er det jo en veldig svår situation at være i, at få så en diagnos, men man får ikke nogen hjælp, man får ingenting at gøre. Folk, de vil veldig bare, de vil gerne i gang med nogle ting, som man kan hjælpe sig selv, eller hjælpe sit familiemedlem. Så det er en ting, det er bare så simpelt. Men det andet, man kan gøre, er, at når man får gang på for eksempel kognitiv stimulationsterapien, den første terapien, som jeg pratede om, där kan man se efter 7 veckor, man gör det i 7 veckor, 2 gånger på veckan, så man pratar 30-40 minuter, det är en samtal. Så faktiskt så lyfter det nivået, folk de blir mer i stand till att vara klarare i samtalet. Vi kan se i vårt pilotförsök också, de blir mer aktiva. De vill gärna vara mer aktiva. Det är lätt att förstå
ur ett individperspektiv. Man säger, varför ska man investera i det här? Finns det några kostnadsbesparingar att göra för de som sitter och investerar? För det handlar ju om att använda resurserna på rätt sätt. Kan man till exempel få ner vårdkostnaderna genom att hjälpa folk med Alzheimer? Har du beräkning på det?
Ja, det kan man också. Alltså, Alzheimer är ju en av de dyraste sjukdomar i världen. Ser man globalt så värderar man att demens kostar 1% av det samlade gross domestic product globalt. Så det är väldigt dyrt. Det är en av de dyraste sjukdomar per patient. Så om man kan för exempel förlänga, om man kan förlänga tiden förrän man går från en stadie till ett annat stadie, eller förrän man går från mild kognitiv sväckelse in i en demensdiagnos, så sparar man samfundet väldigt många pengar. Så ja.
Så man sätter sig in i köparnas situation då, när de sitter och ska räkna på det här. Om vi börjar med, vad kan man vänta sig för effekt av er terapi när den kommer ut? Hur många kommer, vad vet vi om den effekten?
Alltså det vi vet, och det är ju på den bakgrund att de engelska sundhetsmyndigheterna har lovat den här rekommendation om att man ska bruka det här till att behandla demens. Så man vet att den förbättrar kognitionen. Så det är ting som hukommelse, evne till att prata, organisera, tänka och så där blir bättre. Så det vet man. Det är också en förbättring av livskvaliteten. Så quality of life measures. Och baserat på de två ting så rekommenderar sundhetsmyndigheterna allerede att man gör det. Och man kan säga, hvis man kigger på quality of life förbättringar, så är det också så kan man också putta en ekonomisk värde på det. Kigger man på direkta besparelser, så det som vi vet med för exempel vår första produkt, så en väldigt simpel ting är att terapeuterna som idag gör den här form för terapi, den brukar väldigt mycket tid på att förbereda sig. De ska sitta och klippa i en avis för att ha något att prata om och så där. Här där är allting klart, så de sparar många timmar i förberedelsen. Det är en väldigt simpel ting. Man kan säga det var de helt stora kostbesparingar som vi kommer på långt.
Men du har ingen liksom siffra på hur mycket besparingar handlar om eller hur många procent förlängning av eller?
Nej, för selv med den nuvarande terapiform så vet de.
Men om du tittar på kostnadssidan, vad kostar det här? Vad kostar det per behandlad patient till exempel?
Jag tror man säger att en person med demens i de sena stadierna kan kosta upp till, jag kan inte komma inte ihåg precis, men det är upp till 1 miljon kronor om året i bara att ta sig av den personen.
Så det handlar om boende på något hem då, låter det som? Eller vad?
Ja, så ska de, där kommer ett tidspunkt så ska de på ett hem och ha stötta hela tiden. Det som karaktäriserar demens är att man inte längre kan ta vara på sig själv. Och det är därför den är så kostnadsfylld.
En sak som känns lite oroande när man pratar om de här digitala terapierna och sådär, att det verkar åtminstone för en utomstående, det känns som att det är så mycket lättare att kopiera eller åtminstone göra något liknande digital terapi när det handlar om just en digital behandling än när det handlar om läkemedel som man kan liksom skydda och sätta upp barriärer kring. Hur skyddar man sig mot att någon annan gör samma sak som om det?
Ja, det är flera ting man kan göra. Man kan faktiskt patentera också, som vi kommer till att göra med flera av våra teknologier. De är patenterbara. Men ännu viktigare faktiskt så är det inte så enkelt att kopiera. För faktiskt, tänk på vad svårt det är för en person till att ändra en vana för exempel. Det här det ska brukas i en situation där man ska få människor till att göra en bestämd adfärd. Specific behavior. Och det är inte så lätt. Och det är faktiskt väldigt mycket litteratur, speciellt om den här Contextualization therapy, som har alla de små detaljerna om hur är det man får folk engagerade och så där. Så det är inte bara att kopiera ett stycke software code. Det är inte så lätt. Det är också en annan ting, det är hur kommer du tätt på de klinikerna som jobbar med det här. Och det har ju tagit många år att få de partnerskaper som vi har kommit så tätt på. Som man väldigt, och det är dem som faktiskt spelar en så viktig roll också som medicin. Alltså klinikernas är ju key opinion leader, de spelar så viktig en roll om blir det medicin A eller medicin B, och det är detsamma här. Så det är en annan viktig måte att beskytta, protect.
En sak som du berättar om också, det är att ni inte bara kommer att behandla folk som har drabbats av Alzheimer eller annan demenssjukdom, utan även att man ska kunna förebygga demens genom era terapier. Hur ser du på den produkten? Ska man säga? Hur ser potentialen ut där?
Ja, det är ju längre ut i framtiden, men det finns en protokoll för det som heter FINGER, som blev gjort ett stort projekt uppe i Finland av en professor som heter Mia Kevipelto. Och det är ju om att man laver adfärdsändringar, alltså lifestyle changes, som minimerar risikofaktorer. Där har vi några samarbete och det är ett projekt på väg där som vi kikar på. Så där ska man faktiskt ha folk till att leva så det är livsstilsändringar.
Men är det för tidigt att prata om någon slags...
Det är för tidigt att prata om det. Ja. Vi börjar med terapierna till demensområdet. Där vi fokuserar.
Men vi pratar om någonting som ni kan prata om. Och det. Jag såg att er aktie drog iväg som 17 här för ett par veckor sedan. Är det väl?
Ja, det var väldigt fint. Ja, så var vi har... Så det var dejligt att se, så vi blev
det var väl på nyheten att ni tidigare lägger försäljningsstarten.
Precis. För där vi kom ut med IPO:n, där vi gick på börsen sista året, där sa vi, och det var flera år ut i framtiden när vi skulle lansera första produktet. Men vi har varit i stand till, också på grund av vårt täta samarbete med Rox Health Roche, har vi funnit en väg så vi kan lansera det första produktet mycket tydligare. Ja,
en sista frågan blir alltså, Danmark ska börja sälja redan i år, tidigare lagt. Tyskland nästa år. Hur många länder är ni i om 2 år?
Ja, så skulle jag se några nyheter som...
Du hinner bara säga en siffra här nu. Så att,
ja, men det får jag faktiskt inte säga här. Nej.
Men ni har en plan, låter det så.
Vi har planer om att utvidga, varje år kommer vi utvidga, har vi planer om.
Men är det Europa som vi snackar då, eller?
Ja, som jag visste på sliden tidigare, där var några olika flagg där som man kan gå in och titta på i presentationen.
Det fick bli sista orden. Lycka till och stort tack. Tack säger vi från Stockholm här.
Ja,
tack.
Många tack.